Okay, so now we are going to look at what? Quantitative forecasting. We have already looked at quantitative forecasting and the forms, that is Delphi method, jury of executive opinion, sale force composite, and also market survey. Okay, so now we are going to look at the quantitative forecasting, and this one does with what? Calculations. Okay, so we have simple moving average. Simple moving average. Then we also have weighted moving average. Then we will talk about exponential smoothing. Okay, yes. Then we will proceed to talk about the forecast errors. But then now let's look at these three. That is simple moving average, weighted moving average, and exponential smoothing. Okay. So simple moving average here, we are going to use what? The past records. Okay. We are going to use the past records, but at a constant what? Weight. Do you get it? So simple moving average, you could hear the word um, 3 week moving average. That is 3 weeks, right? Or 3 week moving average. Yes. And so for this one, it means all the calculations you are going to apply what? Or you are going to divide the calculation by what? 3. Don't forget there is what? Average here, right? So any average means at the end you are going to divide it by what? The number of what? Observations. And if you have 3 weeks or you have 5 weeks, it means you are going to divide it by 3 or what? The 5. Okay. Yeah. So you sum A plus B plus the C, right? Then when you finish, you divide it by what? 3. That is just the average that we are going to do. Okay. But because they are saying 3 weeks, it means this is week 1, right? 2, week 3, week 4, and week 5. And this is, let's say, our demand. So we have 20, we have 40, we have 30, we have 40, we have 10. Okay, so they are saying 3 weeks was moving. So we need 3 weeks before we can perform our calculation. So if you start from here, you see you don't have any past records which are what in 3 weeks, right? When you come here, you only have what 1 week record, so you cannot forecast here. Then when you come here, you see you have just 2 past records, so it means you cannot what forecast here. But when you come here, you see you have what 1, 2, 3. So you have 3 weeks past records, so you can forecast here. I hope you get that. And so because it is saying 3 weeks, it means just add the first 3 weeks and divide it by your 3. So you have 20 plus 40 plus 30. So 20 plus this is what? 60 plus this is 90. So you see 90 over what? 3. So you have what? 30. So it means for the 4th week, the forecast is what? 30. I hope you get that. Yes, because the question said what? 3 weeks. But let's say if it was supposed, so let's do the next one. We need 3 past weeks. Okay. So when we come here, this is the 5th week. We need the past 3 weeks. So it is going to be 1, 2, 3. We are not going to use this, do you get it? Because we need just the past 3 weeks. So we are going to use, and uh what are the past 3 weeks of what? This 10. That is 1, 2, 3. Right? This one is not part. So you are going to have 40 plus 30 plus 40, which is what? 100. Then you divide it by 3 to get 33.33. Yeah. So 100 divided by 3 is 33.33. Okay, so you have 33.33. Okay, so that is what you are going to have here. So if you are supposed to have another one in week 6, it means you are going to use another what past 3 weeks. And so those past 3 weeks will be what? 1, 2, 3. You are not going to add this because if you have week 6, it means 1, 2, 3. Right. So that is the 3-week moving average. And if you say 2 weeks or 2-week moving average, it means you need past 2 weeks, right? So 1, 2, right? So if you stand here, you cannot forecast in week 2 because you don't have what? 2 past what? Weeks. You only have 1. So you can't forecast or predict here. So when you come to the 3rd week, you can forecast here because you have 2 past weeks, which is 1, 2. So you add them, you divide it by 2, then you bring it here. So it depends on the number of week that you are to move. If it is 4 weeks, it means 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So when you come to the 5th week, you can forecast from the past 4 weeks, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. You add them and you divide everything by what? 4. Okay, then you get the forecast for period 5. It's very simple. Okay, so for simple moving average, let's look at something. Okay, so we say for simple moving average, I earlier said it has a constant weight, and so if you are dividing it by 3, you are going to divide it by 3 throughout. Do you get it? And also, you are not going to multiply in. Okay, when we get to weighted average, I will explain it more so that you know the difference. Okay, so for simple moving average, the formula is, let's say when you are forecasting for the current period, which is T. Okay, it's supposed to be the is it so demand is the same as what the actual. Okay, yeah. So it's supposed to be the actual for the actual demand of for the previous week, because when we subtract 1 from the current period, it becomes what the previous week. Or let's say if we are in the current week, so it is going to be last week. You get it? Then plus this is 3 weeks. Let's say you have 3 weeks, or let me do it in general, okay, so for better understanding. So here too is going to be the demand for the previous 2 weeks plus, so you get to any number that they want. Okay, yeah. So when you have 3 weeks, it is going to, or when you are forecasting for the 4th week, it means that is 3 sorry, when you are forecasting for the 4th week, it means it is going to be the actual or the demand for, so you see here is T, so it's going to be 4 minus 1 to give you what? 3. So it is just going to be the previous 3 plus A2 plus A1. Okay, so that is it when it comes to what? Simple moving average. Okay, yeah. So let's pick a question and solve. And okay, so let's look at this example. We have the question says calculate in 3-week and 4-week moving averages, right? So we have the number of weeks here, and we have what? Demand, right? So let's calculate for 3-week. So 3-week is going to be 3. We write 3-week here. Okay, right. Then for 3-week we write 4-week. Yes, then write the figures here. Okay, so for simple moving average, as we said, because it is 3 weeks, we need what? Past 3 weeks before we can forecast. So we cannot do it here, we cannot do it here, we cannot do it here because we only have 2 forecasts, right? Sorry, 2 figures here. So before we forecast, we need 3 weeks. That is 1, 2, 3. So it means we can forecast for the 4th week. Okay, so for the previous 3 weeks, we can base on to forecast or predict for the next sale. I hope you get it. And so how do we forecast? It's just average, as I said. So you add everything and you divide it by the frequency. So you have 200, 300, and 420. So 300 plus 200 plus 420. Then you divide everything by 3, right? So you have 500, 920 divided by 3. So 920 divided by 3 will give you 306.67. So you have 306.67. So that is for the fourth week. So 306.67. Then we do same for the fifth week. So for the fifth week, we only need the past 3 weeks. So we are not going to add this. So this is the fifth week. We need the past 3 weeks. That is 1, 2, 3. Right? So 160 plus this plus this. So we have 320 plus 420 plus 160, okay, divided by the same 3. So we sum them, we have 320 plus 420 plus 160. Then we divide everything by what? 3. We have 300. You can check if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So for the sixth week, we also need what? The past 3 weeks. That is 1, 2, 3. So we have 420 plus 160 plus what? 130 divided by 3. So we have 420 plus 160 plus 130 divided by 3. So we have 188.67. Okay, so 188.67. So we are done with the 3 weeks. And so now let's move on to the 4 week. So for the 4 week moving average, that one too is very simple. We need 4 weeks to forecast, right? So it means we can only forecast for the fifth week because we need previous 4 weeks, right? So we are going to add 1, 2, 3, 4 and divide the answer by 4 and bring the answer here. That is 4 weeks. Okay, so we have the 200 for the 4 week. We have the 200 plus 320 plus 420 plus 160, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we divide everything by 4. So we have 200 plus 320 plus 420 plus 160 divided by 4. So we have 275 here. So that is week 5. We have 275. Then for the last week, we are going to use 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So the previous 4 weeks. So that is 320 plus 420 plus 160 plus what? 130. We divide everything by 4. Okay. So we have 320 plus 420 plus 160 plus 130. We divide everything by 4 and we say we have 257.50. Okay, so this is the calculation for simple moving average. Okay, now that we are done with the simple moving average, we are going to look at what weighted moving what average. Okay, so now let's look at how to calculate for the weighted moving average. Weighted moving average. Okay, so for simple moving average, you realize we just what sum everything and divide it by the frequency. So it's just like how to calculate for simple mean. Do you get it? And now we are going to look at how to calculate for what weighted mean. And you know from statistics that when you are calculating for weighted mean, you just multiply your weight by the number plus the weight plus the times the number. Then when you finish, you divide everything by what those numbers, right? But for the weighted average that we are going to look here, you are going to be given what weight, right? And so you are going to apply the weight to those numbers, but you are not going to divide it by anything. Do you get it? That is it. So it's just like the previous one, but now because the restrictions or the thing that makes it different is that now you are going to arrange the weight. So because you are going to arrange the weight, you don't need to divide it by what anything. Okay. So we say for weighted average, it's just like you know the formula already. So it's just like when you are forecasting for the current period, that is the weight. For the weight, we don't have period for the weight, but it should be what the demand for the previous week plus the same weight, or let's say weight 2 should be the demand for what. Oh, sorry. So weight 2 should multiply the demand for the previous 2 weeks plus your weight 3 should multiply C3 should multiply the previous third week. So it's just like that. Okay. So you just apply the same what example, but we are going to look at this example under what weighted average. And one thing under weighted moving average is that they are going to ask you to calculate for a particular what period. You get it? Let's say for the fourth period. So you are going to calculate it based on the number of what weight you have been given. So they can give you a weight to be 0.7, 0.5, and 0.2. They are all T. So yes, so there's T1, T2, and what? T3. So you have three weights, right? And so you have three weights. It means when you are to forecast for the fourth week, this is the fourth week, right? When you are to forecast for the fourth week, you are going to apply this weight on the previous 3 weeks. So 1, 2, 3, right? Okay. So if you are to forecast for the sixth week, it means you are going to apply these three weights on the previous 3 weeks. So that is 1, 2, 3, right? And now let's look at how to even apply the weight. Do you get it? Now you see that for the weight you have what 0.7, and that is the highest, right? And so we are going to apply the highest weight on the most what uh, recent, okay, on the most recent. And so if you are looking at it from week 5, it means for the previous week you have what 160. So 160 will take 0.7, then 0.5 will take the next one, 0.2 will take what this one. Okay, so that is it. That is what we are going to look at. Okay, all right. So I want to pick an example. So let's use this one. We are to calculate for the fourth week, the fourth period or week, and the fifth week. Okay, so for the fourth week, this is the fourth week, so we have to calculate for this. Now before we calculate for this, what do we do? We are going to apply this weight here. Okay, so in simple calculations, we have, don't forget the weights. Okay, so I'll write it again. We have the weights. We have the weights to be um, let's say T1 equal to 0.7, T2 equal to 0.5, and T3 equal to 0.2. Okay, and so for the fourth week, that's how it is going to be. Fourth week. Okay, so the highest weight must apply towards the most recent. Okay, now there's the fourth week. Which one is the most recent? This one, right? Yes. So 420. So we say 0.7 multiplying 420 plus the second highest, which is 0.5 multiplying 320 plus 0.2 multiplying what 200. Yes, so that is how it is going to be. Then you just perform your calculations. Okay, so you have 0.7 multiplying 420. Okay, plus 0.5 multiplying 320 plus 0.2 multiplying 200. So you have 494. Okay, so you have 494. So it means for the fourth week is 494. As simple as that. Okay, then let's move on to the how do you call it, the fifth week. Okay, so this is the fifth week, and so we are going to apply the weights because the weights are three, so 1 2 3, right? So it is going to be the most recent times the what big one, the or the larger weight. So that is 160 multiplying, let the weight comes first, let's follow the protocol. So 0.7 multiplying 160, okay, like this, plus now 0.5, we also multiply what, 420, plus then 0.2 will multiply what, 320. Okay, then you are done. Okay, so 0.7 times 160 is giving us 112 plus 0.5 times 420 plus 0.2 times 320. That is 386. So you have 386 as 5. So you can try the last week by yourself to see whether you have understood the whole thing very well. Okay, so as I said, if you were to have what the weight to be 4, you get it, and you have been asked to calculate for the forecast for the fifth week, it means you are going to spread the weight on what the last 4 weeks. Okay, yeah, so that is it. That is for the weighted moving what average. Okay, yes. So the next one that we are going to look at is what the exponential theory, and we are done with the quantitative forecasting. But we will also look at what the forecast errors. Okay, yeah, so this is the weighted moving average.